Windows are shut. You know, you can't open them. Is that true? Okay, how long have you been with him?
I've been here about 5 months now. Where's the dad? We just found each other when I turned 18.
Okay. Mom tells me his daughter spent a lot of time in and out of foster homes. But even after reuniting with her father and stepmother, I got the feeling she's still not finding any peace. I wouldn't want to try anything.
There's one simple reason that your appearance looks older with age, especially for women over 40. Exercise, diet, sun-tanning, and other lifestyle factors might have an impact, but they are not the reason you get crow's feet or turkey neck. But the real reason why your skin visibly ages faster each year is because your skin cells constantly die and different things. In fact, your skin cells die in just 4 weeks, so that means every 4 weeks you're losing cells. Replacing them with the same number of new cells. That's why so many anti-aging products don't work. Because how can you improve your...
Something is wrong. I don't know. I don't know. She doesn't remember dying. This is a hell no. That's like a person. I think people have a lot of horrible experiences with the this seems like a possession. I mean, it's a challenge. Everything is so unflat. I think that's very disturbing. I think that and they speak to me from a point that sounds like that. But there's a right now, it's like my Israel. Living, don't stand a chance here. I rely on my partner.
I'm Steve Bishop, retired New York City homicide detective, because I killed him. And I know every person, every house, I think. Now it's my job to reveal that your mom was murdered right here in this room.
But Steve and I never speak.
We never communicate during an investigation.
Until the very end.
This was just the beginning. What did we uncover? Big thing. Did you say?
We're trying to get out there very bad.
I'm out here in Lake Utah, the suburb of Salt Lake City. I got called in by a guy named Craig. This guy thought he was doing the right thing by his daughter and her family when he bought them a house just down the street from him. Problem is this. Something in that house is going after his 6-year-old grandson, and the activity is ripping his family apart. It's not a protection, and I'm hoping we can help him out. Before he arrived, I cleared the area of anything that would influence her findings. Personal items, family photographs, empty cupboard door. When I'm finished, tonight's walk can begin.
Something is wrong here. They're wreaking havoc, causing commotion. There's a lot of dead people in this house. This is not good.
When we spoke on the phone, you sounded like you were at the end of your rope. What the hell's going on here? I'm losing my mind. I bought this house for my daughter. That's my daughter, Emily. This is my son-in-law. This is my grandson, Dave. And he's just turned 6 years old. We wanted to help them out. She said, you know what? It's so bad. They can't even live here. After being here a month, Emily and Hayden had to leave. Okay, wait till to my house. Okay, so we're looking here now. My son-in-law, Justin, has been here all by himself for the last 5 months, and he refuses to leave. Okay, so what's going on in the house? Footsteps, doors opening and closing. We also experience shadow people. When we spoke on the phone, you mentioned that your grandson was an issue. I have seen a dramatic change in him. He used to be a sweet little child. Now he's a terror. Lots of 6-year-olds are terrorists. You know, whatever this is taking complete control of him. I firmly believe he is being possessed. This thing here has one goal, and that is to hurt. Why don't you just sell this house and get out of here? Moving them out will not solve the problem. Because this thing here travels. It goes down to our house. When they moved in, all of a sudden it started to go crazy. Shadow people showed up. What do you hope we can do for you? Plain and simple. My family needs to be protected. That's all that I care about.
There's a kid here, like a boy, a male.
Was he a living person?
Pretty sure he's out of control. He's out of control. He's got a lot of rage. He's like screaming and yelling and freaking out and just losing it. Like starting fights. There's something not right.
You weren't kidding when you said they got out of here and they didn't come back. They stopped because of the activity. So why'd you bring me in here? Dave has told us time and time again, down here, these shadow people go like this. They cover their arms like this. Okay? And they disappear in the walls and they come out of the wall. Now these are the same shadow figures you told me to see. Yes. Okay, anything else? I think downstairs here. And I was right up against the door that leads into the lower basement. I feel something grabbing me. So did it feel like a person was grabbing you? It felt like three separate sets of arms. They grabbed me around the chest, they grabbed me around the stomach, they grabbed me around my legs so I couldn't get away. Now, did you hear or see anything when this was going on? No. Okay, anything else? Every time that we're here, and you're just not alone, you want any medication? Drinking maybe? No. If we do nothing and it goes unchecked, what do you think could happen? This was just a gift. We're going to uncover if it's safe to stay.
We're trying to get out there very bad.
I'm out here in Lake Utah, the suburb of Stourbridge City. This guy thought he was doing the right thing by his daughter and her family when he bought them a house just down the street from him. Problem is this. Something in that house is going after his 6-year-old grandson, and the activity is ripping his family apart. He sounded pretty desperate, and I'm hoping we can help him out. Before Amy arrives, I clear the area of anything that was her findings. Personal items, family photographs, have to be covered or removed. When I'm finished, tonight's walk can begin.
Something's wrong here. I'm hearing wreaking havoc, causing commotion. Don't like this. There's a lot of sadness in this house. This is not good. Living people have a lot of horrible experiences in this place.
When we spoke on the phone, you sounded like you were at the end of your rope. What the hell's going on here? I'm losing my... I bought this house for my daughter. That's my daughter, Emily. This is my son-in-law. This is my grandson, King. He's just turned 6 years old. We wanted to help them out. But you know what? It's so bad. They can't even live here. After being here a month, Emily and Hayden had to leave. Okay, went to my house. Okay, so who's living here now? My son-in-law, Justin, has been here all by himself for the last 5 months. And he refuses to leave. Okay, so what's going on in the house? Footsteps, doors opening and closing. We also experience shadow people. When we spoke on the phone, you mentioned that your grandson was an issue. I have seen a dramatic change in him. He used to be a sweet little child. Now he's a terror. Lots of 6-year-olds are terrorists. You know, whatever this is has taken complete control of him. I firmly believe he is being possessed. This thing here has one goal, and that is to hurt. Why don't you just sell this house and get out of here? Moving them out will not solve the problem. Because this thing here travels. It goes down to our house. When they moved in, all of a sudden it started to go crazy. Shadow people showed up. What do you hope we can do for you? Plain and simple. My family needs to be protected. That's all that I care about.
There's a kid here, like a boy, a male.
Was he a living person?
Pretty sure he's out of control. He's out of control. Just got a lot of rage. He's like screaming and yelling and freaking out and just losing it. Like starting fights. There's something not right in his brain.
You weren't kidding when you said they got out of here in a hurry. They didn't even unpack. They stopped because of the activity. So why'd you bring me in here? Dave has told us time and time again, down here, see shadow people go like this. They cover their arms like this. And they disappear in the walls and they come out of the wall. Are these the same shadow figures you told me you've seen? Yes. Okay, anything else? I came downstairs here and I was right up against the door that leads into the lower basement. I feel something grabbing me. So did it feel like a person was grabbing you? It felt like three separate sets of arms. They grabbed me around the chest, they grabbed me around the stomach, they grabbed me around my legs so I couldn't get away. Now, did you hear or see anything when this was going on? No. Okay, anything else? Every time that we're here, that you're just not alone. You want any medication? Drinking maybe? No. If we do nothing and it goes unchecked, what do you think could happen? I worry and I expect that my grandson will be hurt. As a father, I feel like I have failed my daughter because the intent was to help her and it just torments me that I didn't see this coming.
There's an older man, dead, who's probably in his like 60s or 50s. Hates everybody.
How would the living be affected by this?
I'm assuming that they'll watch by him, they'll call your name. This is odd. It seems like he's kind of becoming part of the house. He's like in the wall. He's like losing his consciousness into the house.
Oh, you follow him all. You basically said you're the last man standing here. Yes. So I'm assuming you've had experiences. Oh, yeah. Okay, why don't you tell me about something? I saw an apparition on the inside of the bathroom door of a face. Now, is there a way you can describe how it looks on the door? Yeah, it was almost like it was painted on there. Almost like a face, like kind of just smeared down. Now, is there a window in that restroom? Yes. So, was there anything that was coming in from the outside? No, couldn't be. Light doesn't really pierce in. Anything? Well, I laid in bed and I got this really cold breeze on my face and I couldn't tell where it came from. And all of a sudden, the temperature of the room seemed to drop about 20, 30 degrees. Was the fan on? No, fan's off. Do you have AC units? We have one vent over here on the floor and it's not connected to AC. So it sounds like your family's going through some intense, bizarre stuff here. Yeah, that's why my wife and son are not in the house no more. So how is Hayden doing with you see? His attitude and demeanor had changed ever since we got this house. He goes into, like fits or, stuff like that. He shuts down on us. How are you dealing with that? It's rough. Hard being away from both of them. But it's the safety thing. I think I feel there's safety there. It sounds like you pitched up and staying. Why don't you just get the hell out? No matter what they do, they're not going to let me off. This is my house. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to fight.
There's another dead guy down here. He's young. He doesn't want to. He's the problem. He can project cold, but is fully filled. Like the hair raising up. He can also push people away with his emotions. If you feel that. The dead guy also likes to come in here. There's a lot of comfortable. Disgusting.
Why are you saying that? What's he doing?
He watches them, he stalks them. He's a voyeur. He is a pervert.
Describe them.
The ones that I've seen have been pitch black and shaped like human figures.
Have you seen them at your dad's house too?
Yes.
Emily, did you ever experience anything paranormal before you moved in?
I've experienced the paranormal my entire life.
Did Hayden have any problems before moving here?
Yeah. Ever since he was a baby, he's always seen things, heard things.
So now you know your father moved us in because you've worried about how this house was affecting Hayden. How were you seeing it?
Personality-wise, his house has just completely changed him. He's gotten very violent at times. You know, there's nothing there in his eyes. I mean, that's not my boy.
Alright, so what do you think is going on?
I don't know, maybe a possession. I just feel like we're cursed. I'm seeing a living woman in here.
How can you describe it?
The only thing I really kind of feel is her age. So I'm thinking my age or possibly a little younger. She feels responsible somehow.
Responsible for what?
I guess for her kid freaking out or something. She feels like somehow because of her genetics that her family is cursed. Maybe she's had encounters or experiences with shadow people throughout her life. Feels like things are following her.
Okay, what are you hearing?
Basically to cause harm to my family.
You want any medication to make you less kind of this kind of thing?
No.
Alright, anything else?
I've been hit many times.
Okay, so give me an example.
Hayden and I were in the bathroom. We decided to open the door, and that's when I got punched. And the side of my face was completely swollen.
And this has happened many times?
I mean, if I'm in this house longer than 20 minutes, I get brutally hit.
Is there anything else?
You know, physically just completely feel drained, just sick, nauseated at times. Both Hayden and I get horrible headaches.
How's this affecting you emotionally and your family?
It's just like at times I just want to give up. This is a hell house. This young dead guy really messes with the living here. He causes the bad headaches here. He likes to be right on females. They would feel his breathing on their neck. So I think women would feel uncomfortable with his presence. I think the women would hear their names being called. He's definitely a predator. He can travel. He can sleep with the women. This is weird. There's dark stuff going on. I keep hearing magic. And doorway's been opened. And shadow figures are coming in from another dimension. Not a good sign.
Hey, how old are you? You're a son. Emily and Hayden have a leave. Okay, where to? To my house. Okay, so who's living here now? My son-in-law, Justin, has been here all by himself for the last 5 months. And he refuses to leave. Okay, so what's going on in the house? Footsteps, doors opening and closing. We also experience shadow people. When we spoke on the phone, you mentioned that your grandson was an issue. I have seen a dramatic change in him. He used to be a sweet little child. Now he's a terror. Lots of 6-year-olds are terrorists. You know, whatever this is taking complete control of him. I firmly believe he is being possessed. This thing here has one goal, and that is to hurt me. Why don't you just sell this house and get out of here? Moving them out will not solve the problem. Because this thing here travels. It goes down to our house. When they moved in, all of a sudden it started to go crazy. Shadow people showed up. What do you hope we can do for you? Plain and simple, my family needs to be protected. That's all that I care about.
There's a kid here, like a boy, a male.
Was he a living person?
Pretty sure he's out of control. He's out of control. freaking out and just losing it. Like starting fights. There's something not right. Brain.
You aren't kidding when you said they got out of here in a hurry. They didn't even unpack. They stopped because of the activity. So why'd you bring me in here? Dave has told us time and time again, down here, see shadow people move like this. They cover their arms like this, and they disappear in the walls, and they come out of the walls. Are these the same shadow figures you told me you've seen? Yes. Okay, anything else? I came downstairs here, and I was right up against the door that leads into the lower basement. I feel something grabbing me. So did it feel like a person was grabbing you? It felt like three separate sets of arms. They grabbed me around the chest. They grabbed me around the stomach. They grabbed me around my legs so I couldn't get away. Now, did you hear or see anything when this was going on? No. Okay, anything else? Every time that we're here, that you're just not alone. You want any medication? Drinking maybe? No. If we do nothing and it goes unchecked, what do you think could happen? I worry and I expect that my grandson will be hurt. As a father, I feel like I have failed my daughter. The intent was to help her, and it just torments me that I didn't see this coming.
There's an older man, he's dead, who's probably in his like 60s or 50s. Hates everybody.
How would the living be affected by this?
I'm assuming that they feel watched by him. They'll call your name. This is odd. It seems like he's kind of becoming part of the house. He's like in the wall. He's like losing his consciousness into the house.
How do you follow them all? You basically said you're the last man standing here. Yes. So I'm assuming you've had experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, why don't you tell me about something?
I saw an apparition on the inside of the bathroom door of a face.
Now, is there a way you can describe how it looked on the door?
Yeah, it was almost like it was painted on there. Almost like a face, like kind of just smeared down.
Now, is there a window in that restaurant?
Yes.
So, was there anything that was coming in from the outside?
No, couldn't be. Light doesn't really pierce in.
Anything?
Well, I was laying in bed and I got this really cold breeze on my face and I couldn't tell where it came from. And all of a sudden, the temperature of the room seemed to drop about 20, 30 degrees.
Was the fan on?
No, fan's off.
Do you have AC units?
We have one vent over here on the floor, and it's not connected to AC.
So it sounds like your family's going through some intense, bizarre stuff here.
Yeah, that's why my wife and son are not in the house no more.
So how is Aiden doing when you see him?
His attitude and demeanor had changed ever since we got this house. He goes into, as we, like fits or, stuff like that. He shuts down on us.
How are you dealing with that?
It's rough. Hard being away from both of them. But it's a safety thing. I feel they're safer over there.
It sounds like you're being stubborn staying here. Why don't you just get the hell out?
No matter what they do, they're not gonna run me off. This is my house. I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna fight.
There's another dead guy down here. He's young. He doesn't want to. He's the problem. He can project cold, but his fluid feels like the air raising up. He can also push people away with his emotions. You feel that. The dead guy also likes to come in here. There's a lot of wall. It's disgusting.
Why are you saying that? What's he doing?
He watches them, he stalks them. He is a voyeur. He is a pervert.
So Emily, I understand that activity got so bad that you moved out with your son.
Yes. I left something that I cannot protect him from.
Justin stayed behind. How's that affecting the marriage?
It's not easy. The things that we've been through, most people would not be married anymore.
So what experiences have you had?
I've seen the shadow figures all over the house.
Can you describe them?
The ones that I've seen have been pitch black, shaped like a human figure.
Have you seen them at your dad's house too?
Yes,
Now, Emily, did you ever experience anything paranormal before you moved here?
I've experienced the paranormal my entire life.
Did Hayden have any problems before moving here?
Ever since he was a baby, he's always seen things, heard things.
So, as you know, your father called us in because he was worried about how this house was affecting Hayden. How were you seeing it?
Personality-wise, his house has just completely changed him. He's gotten very violent at times. You know, there's nothing there in his eyes. I mean, that's not my boy.
Right, so what do you think is going on?
I don't know, maybe a possession. I just feel like we're cursed. I'm seeing a living woman in here.
Can you describe her?
The only thing I really kind of feel is her age. So I'm thinking my age or possibly a little younger. She feels responsible somehow.
Responsible for what?
I guess for her kid freaking out or something. So why somehow because of her genetics that her family is cursed. Maybe she's had encounters or experiences with shadow people throughout her life. Feels like things are following her.
Okay, what are you hearing?
Basically to cause harm to my family.
You want any medication to make cause this kind of thing?
No.
All right, anything else?
I've been hit many times.
Okay, so give me an example.
Hayden and I were in the bathroom. We decided to open the door, and that's when I got punched. And the side of my face was completely swollen.
And this has happened many times?
I mean, if I'm in this house longer than 20 minutes, I get brutally hit.
Is there anything else?
You know, physically just completely feel drained, just sick, nauseated at times. Both Hayden and I get horrible headaches.
How's this affecting you emotionally and your family?
It's just like at times I just want to give up. This is a hell house. This young dead guy really messes with the living here. He causes the bad headaches here. He likes to be right on females. They would feel his breathing on their neck. So I think women would feel uncomfortable with his presence. I think the women would hear their names being called. He's definitely a predator. He can travel. He can leave with the women. This is weird. There's dark stuff going on. I keep hearing magic. And doorway's been opened. And shadow figures are coming in from another dimension. It's not a good sign.
Hayden, how old are you? You have some scary things happening here? So, Hayden, what are you seeing in the house?
I see shadow things, dark ones.
Loved ones.
Yeah, they look at me.
You see them a lot?
Yeah,
Do they do anything when you're with them?
they give me headaches.
Does it hurt their head? Yeah. Do they talk to you at all?
Yeah,
What do they say? Sounds like you don't like to talk about it.
yeah.
But they scare you. We're going to try to get rid of those shadow people, okay? You want us to get rid of them, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a bad room. Really bad.
How?
There's this gaping hole in the closet. It's like a hole to where the shadow people come from. And hands coming out. I've never seen this before. They'll grab your legs and your feet, your hands, your wrists. bad and bad. I don't know. I don't feel good in here. I feel horribly ill, like I'm gonna puke. Oh,
What kind of danger do these set up for folks?
I think people, they could take them and then they would just like disappear. Shadow people usually they focus on children and elderly, and they can cause them to die.
Taken to a property needs one family style to meet the Morgans. Now, they were here for 65 years, so I expected there to be some pets. But according to the genealogist I'm headed to meet, these people are dropping like flies. So, Juan, I appreciate you meeting with me. Why do you want to meet here?
Well, the people that owned the property before your client, the Morgan family, had a barn like this one. They got here about 1892. They were there until about the 1950s.
Now, you mentioned on the phone that there's something about every kind of death.
Well, it all revolves around this woman, Martha Morgan. She was born on the property and lived there most of her life. Her father gave her property when she reached adulthood to build a home of her own, and that's when the tragedies really began.
Did she live in the same house as my clients?
No.
Okay, so let's look at the first one.
The first one would be her niece. Mary was only 17 days old when she got bronchitis and suffered severe convulsions, and she died in the family home.
All right, so this kind of a death at that time, not uncommon.
No, it's not. But the next one is, in 1928, Martha's husband, Albert, was killed by a train. He was crossing the tracks and was T-boned by a speeding freight train. It carried him almost a quarter of a mile down the tracks. And he was only 32 years old.
That's tragic.
Believe it or not, there was another accident involving a train. Martha's cousin, Norma, was on her way home from a dance with her boyfriend, Rex. Rex saw a train approaching, thought he could make it, but he slammed on his brakes at the last minute, and they were hit by the train and killed instantly.
Jeez.
And here's a picture of the two victims in their mangled car.
So that's two more deaths. And these aren't just normal deaths either.
There's still more. Her mother died the year after that train accident of stomach cancer in the family home.
Okay, but what about the father?
Her dad died 2 years later of a heart attack.
I mean, it sounds like everybody calmed down around him.
That's right. There's a lot of loss and sadness in this room. I hear him crying and crying and crying. Like 60s or 70s, he said.
Now, do you get anything on her connection?
I think she lived here. Somebody calling her grandma. Lost everything. I'm busy and freaked out.
So far, I have a family being torn apart by the activity in their home on a property that has seen at least 6 tragic deaths. But I want to see if there's anything else. Turns out, one of Martha Morgan's cousins committed the bloodiest murder in Layton's history. And it happened just down the road from my client's property. Anytime there's a homicide like this, I gotta look into it. I'm heading over to meet with a former cop who's gonna tell me exactly what happened. So, Steve, this homicide I came across, what do we know about the perp? The killer was a guy by the name of Delbert Green. Here's Delbert Green's mugshot. And this is Martha Morgan's cousin by marriage, right? So what do we know about this guy, Green's background? He was a violent guy, he was a jealous guy, he was a person who could not control his emotions. He's already spent time in prison for attempting to kill a guy who was flirting with his wife, Gladys. Okay, so take me to the night of the homicide. Well, on January 4th, 1930, Delbert, his wife Gladys, and their child were at their apartment in Ogden. They got into an argument. He hit her. She took the 4-month-old baby over to her stepfather's house, which is just a few doors down from your client's property. So about midnight, Delbert shows up at the stepfather's house. He's upset. He's got a gun. Stepfather James and he get into a big argument, and Delbert shoots him. That's his death certificate. So after Delbert shoots James, he goes into the kitchen, and there he shoots his wife Gladys and her mother-in-law. Both of the women died. There's their death certificates. So what happened to the baby? Does he just leave it alone in the house? Yeah. But needless to say, the manhunt ensues. They search the whole neighborhood, including where your client lives. So he decides he's going to kill himself. He's got one bullet left. He puts it to his head, pulls the trigger, and it jams. 5 hours later, Ogden detectives show up and arrest him. It's going to be a pretty easy conviction. His lawyer went for insanity. The psychiatrist said he's crazy. It didn't help. After 6 years of appeals, they executed him by firing squad on July 10th, 1936. He was only 28 years old.
I think the young dead guy and the old man trapped in the wall did not like each other.
Do you have any idea what connection they might have to the property?
But I don't know what his connection is, honestly. There's some relationship between these two. I can't pin it, though. Something happened. They had some kind of altercation. An angry fight. I am hearing a gunshot. Did they kill each other? Did one kill one and then kill himself? I don't know. I can swear that younger guy killed himself. He died later. He's sick. Mentally sick, I think. Like me. If you need us to investigate unexplained activity in your home, go to the Dead Files page at travelchannel.com.
Click on Help Me Dead Files to submit your story, and we'll help if we can. Another thing caught my eye in research. The property's first owner was a pretty hardcore woman. Now, this guy was a member of a militia and an ex-con. I'm on my way to meet a historian who's looking into this guy tonight. So, Rob, thanks for meeting me again. I appreciate that. What do we know about the man that first lived on my client's property?
It was John Richard Barnes. He was born in England in 1833. So he immigrated to the United States in 1853 with his family,
When did he wind up on my client's property?
mid-1850s.
Now, you said he was part of a militia. What did you find out about it?
The U.S. government wanted to assert its authority on Christian territory, and Native Americans were suffering from the encroachment of Europeans on their land.
And the Mormons are right in the middle.
Mormons were right in the middle of it.
I see a male, Native American. He's very specific looking. He has long hair and he has black eyes. He's really, really angry. He's barely human anymore. The living people are seeing this, and they've had experiences with this thing.
Now, Rob, you mentioned on the phone this guy was a polygamist. Now, did he get in trouble for that?
He did. At one point, he had 3 wives altogether. He was arrested for polygamy, and he was sentenced to 3 months in prison and given a $350 fine. Then he was pardoned by President Burgess. There's an article on it.
I was looking at this straight. The president pardoned this guy.
He did.
All right, so now he did his time, got his pardon. How did it work out for him with his family?
His first wife, Emily, she died at the age of 40 due to complications from childbirth. She wasn't even the only family member who died in childbirth. At age 81, his daughter Mary gave birth to a baby boy. It was
I saw several disturbing things on my walk, but 2 really stood out. First, the dead man being absorbed by the house. I was in a basement. I saw a male who was sinking into the wall. This whole part of his head was out, and then I could see the soles of his shoes. Next, I described the bedroom closet with some kind of portal. It was in a small bedroom. And then the back of the closet was very important because I saw a lot of hands coming out. It was like sucking you in. Amy,
is this like his son?
yeah.
Now that
Amy and I have in our investigations ready to reveal our clients to each other and our clients for the first time. Amy, I'd like to meet Craig and his daughter Emily. Craig here bought this house for Emily and her family 6 months ago. This is her husband Justin and their son Hayden, who's 6. Hayden's getting the worst of it. The activity's so bad here. Emily grabbed him and moved him with her dad about 5 months ago. Justin decided to stay. He's not leaving. Activity's ripping the family apart, and Craig thinks if we don't come up with a solution, somebody's going to get seriously hurt. So now that Amy knows a little bit about you guys, it's going to describe the war.
The interesting thing about this blog was that I was getting quite a bit of information on the living people as well as the dead. When I was in the kitchen, I encountered a living woman's energy. I placed her at approximately my age or slightly younger. Seemed extremely upset and desperate because she's had experiences her whole life. And the thing was that she had this underlying thought that she was somehow to blame for these experiences manifesting. She feels responsible for her kids having freakouts. So she kind of feels like because it runs in her family, she's kind of at the root of the problem.
Okay. When you're able to, just explain to Amy how you feel.
I do it by myself. I worry about Hayden. I'm his mom. I'm supposed to protect him, and I can't. I knew there was some in here before my parents bought the house earlier.
This is horrible.
So when I went into the basement, I saw 2 dead males. The first male, who was in his 50s or 60s, he may have owned this property at one time. The second guy was younger, 30s or 40s. And I couldn't get how exactly he was connected to the property, but he bothers me a great deal. I got that he had some severe mental issues when he was alive. I knew that there was some kind of a relationship between these 2 men, but I didn't understand what kind of a relationship. Whatever it was, though, there was a lot of anger there. And I saw them fighting and yelling. I heard the sound of a gunshot, and I wasn't sure which male it was coming from, but I did get the overwhelming feeling of death. And I think that one died first and the other one died later. Felt like the younger one of them committed suicide.
Pretty sure I know what she's talking about. There was a murder here in the 1930s that had direct ties to the owners of this property. A woman named Martha Morgan used to own this land, and she had a cousin from the marriage named Delbert Green. Now, apparently this guy was a real nut job. On January 4th, 1930, Delbert and his wife Gladys got into a huge fight. Now, Delbert got violent with her. Gladys told him she wanted a divorce, took their 4-month-old kid, and took off. She came right down the block from his house. Delbert grabbed a pistol and tracked Gladys down here. When he arrived, he got into a huge argument with Gladys' stepfather, James. Delbert pulled out a gun and shot James, and he dropped dead. He was 40 years old. James is dead, but Delbert's not finished yet. He's just getting started. Matter of fact, he ended up killing his wife, Gladys, and her mother, Lola. Then he fled. Huge manhunt for this guy. He said we think about possible suicide.
Oh, yeah.
So Delbert knows he's going to get caught, so he tried killing himself. But he failed. Cops show up, obviously, and they arrest him. Now, you said the guy had mental issues, right? Delbert pled insanity. As a matter of fact, the psychiatrist gave a diagnosis to the court saying he was crazy, but they wound up killing him anyway. Delbert was executed by a firing squad on July 10, 1936. He was 28 years old. I managed to track down a photo of Delbert's mugshot. Now, do you think Delbert could be the younger guy you saw down in the basement?
Yes.
Now, do these 2 guys in the basement affect the living?
Yes. But the experiences are mainly coming from this younger male. So he'll literally cut you, and your whole, like, say your shoulder just goes, like, almost melts from how cold he's projecting. And he's got a real problem with women. Also, he's very good at projecting his emotions. He's like, get out of here. He just feels it and pushes it out, and you will feel that.
With the experience. Now, you said he has a problem with women. Do me a favor, tell Amy what happens to you in here.
I mean, if I'm in this house longer than 20 minutes, I get brutally hit.
Amy, you said this guy can also project cold. Convey the story that just told me, I'm sure you know.
Justin was laying in bed one night, and that he's depressed. I mean, for multiple reasons. I mean, it's the situation we're in.
Maybe you said this guy could project emotions. Do you think he's making just the depressed?
Yes. You could absolutely be picking up on that. I think you could also see this young guy more than likely as like a shadowy figure. He also can leave the home.
Did both of them leave?
No, just the younger male.
And you told me, Craig, that you see shadow figures at your house all the time. All the time. This large shadow thing stands in the doorway, and we just cannot get away being alone. So they have a lot of these experiences with the younger guy. Would they have any from the older guy?
He has a really hard time interacting with living people. He is currently in the process of being absorbed by the wall. So he's kind of stuck down there, and he's, essentially becoming part of the house and losing his consciousness to the house. And I did have a sketch done.
Craig, I was going to blow your mind. Just what you told me. My God. This is hideous.
When heartburn and indigestion takes you out of the moment, take Gaviscon Double Action.
My grandson tells us in that basement that there is a person or a thing, puts his arm like this and falls back into the wall. This fellow named Satan. All right, so how come this guy's stuck in the wall in the basement?
This is not what he wants to be having happen to him. He's being pulled into the wall by shadow people.
All right, so now we got shadow people. What's the story with that?
The house is being overrun by shadow people. Here's what's happening. In the green room,
Satan's room.
a doorway was opened to their dimension, which I've never seen before, and frankly, terrifies me. They'll grab your legs and your feet, your hands, your wrists. This is bad and bad. I got paranoid that any living person that's in that room could potentially be dragged physically into the closet by these things. Lincoln saying he wants to be his friend. Obviously, I told him no. Don't talk to him. They're not your friend. I really hated being in that room, and I was only in there for 5 minutes, and it made me sick. And I've never seen a doorway like that before. And the shadow people are coming and going all the time, and they take children. They can just come and kidnap him, just physically take him into their dimension. I did have a sketch done of what I saw.
Oh, look at this right here. Look at that.
Oh my God.
This is unbelievable. I had no idea.
It's like he can't even be a kid. He's so scared. This way he just goes off the deep end. He's been doing just crazy things. He'll start growling at you. He'll start pretending to bite you. He's actually choked me.
You can look at it and you can see there's nothing there. I was so disturbed to think that something could cause this child to act this way.
He's being influenced because that's not my son. My son's a sweet little boy. Sometimes I don't even recognize him. Is this white? Actually, no. It's this guy. An attachment has been created between him and your son. He's a murderer. He's a lunatic.
Any idea why this guy attached himself to him?
He's a child, so he's far more open. He's vulnerable, and he's sensitive. So it's easy picking.
You okay, Emma?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not okay.
It's worse than I thought. So, Craig, Emily, it's a good thing you called us when you had no idea how extensive it was. But we still haven't addressed the big question. Is it safe for you to move back in here, start your life over, or you need to convince Justin to get out and leave the keys to this place by the front door? For that answer, I'm going to turn it over to him.
You have quite a few things to deal with here. Hayden's the priority. Dealing with a mentally ill young male that has attached is to find a very compassionate, strong person who is a psychic and also a Reiki master. They are going to remove the cord from Hayden. Once the cord is cut, the psychic is going to attach that cord to themselves. The psychic Reiki master will deal with him.
Once he's tied into the Reiki master, is he gone from this house?
Yes.
When this occurs, how will Hayden behave?
You'll see a difference in his behavior. He's not going to be necessarily 100%. He's been bound to a dead guy who's psychotic. So he's going to have PTSD from that.
That's just something I don't want him to go through. What's the alternative if they do nothing?
Well, he grows up to become him.
Well, no.
No.
It's going to be done. There's no two ways about it. This is my baby. I can't have this.
All right, so how do they deal with the stolen?
I'm not going to lie. This is really bad. But I have hope. Because this was opened by a child. So, it's very, very possible that if you get 6 psychics and mediums who work in the paranormal, you might be able to contain this and remove shadow people.
What's the difference between a kid that knows adult this
It didn't innately form.
on its own?
Correct.
Which means you can be cloned as well.
Yes.
So what exactly are these 6 sensitives going to do?
They're all going to bring their unique talents, skills, and abilities to the situation. And they are going to use those skills to try and remove the shadow people and shut the doorway they're coming through.
So if they follow all the advice you've given them, will the activity stop at Craig's house?
If it's completely connected with the things that are going on here, yes.
Emily, if you follow Amy's advice, it sounds like you, Justin, and Hayden go back to being a family again.
Yes, I gotta get Hayden taken care of. He's not moving back into this house until everything's taken care of.
What about your grandpa? How you feeling? It starts tomorrow morning. I'm going to get Hayden taken care of. This thing, it's got to die.
Emily and Craig have a lot of work to do if they want to rid this home of shadow people and the murderer who's attached to Hayden. But with the help of a psychic Reiki man, tearing them apart. I hear madhouse. That's crazy.
Hysterical.
I was come down here, Mom. It feels like I'm being punched.
Jay red marks on my arm. He got shot.
It's not going to be okay.
This is seriously the worst place to be. Something bad's going to happen. My name is Amy Allen. It's almost like a butchery. I see dead people. They all died horribly. I see dead people. Get out of here! It makes me sick. There's only one way to know if my findings are real. It doesn't matter where you are, I'll find you. I rely on my partner.
I'm Steve Shop. We're high New York City homicide detective. This guy's your piece of work. And I know every person, every house in the scene.
So we can live in the house.
My job to reveal this is not good.
But Steve and I never speak.
Marshall, Missouri. It's about 90 miles east of Kansas City. I got a call from a woman who received the small city's only movie theater. Now, here's the problem. She believes something there is not happy about it and wants her out. She's so scared for her extended family, she's agreed to close the theater for a few days during our investigation. She said if we can't help her, she'd have to walk away and shut the doors.
When he arrives, it's important that I clear the area of any leading information. I can't hide that this is a movie theater, but I still need to cover anything that might distract her during her walk. When I'm finished, the location will be ready for tonight.
There's a lot of dead people that come around, and I feel like they're sick or crazy. And I hear madhouse. There's a lot of competition here between the dead, competing for attention. And like for some reason they don't want.
Well, Kim, this is a really quaint looking place you got here. But when you're on the phone with me, you sound really desperate. What's going on?
We purchased the theater 4 years ago.
Okay.
There was an ad in the paper that said it was going to be shut down. Marshall is a small town, and like many towns, it has been struggling.
A lot of stuff is closed down here.
Yes. It would be a very big blow to Marshall to not have a movie theater. It would be like turning off that last light.
But why do you got to be the responsible one?
I grew up in Marshall. I came to this movie theater as a child. I raised my kids here.
So you want to preserve that?
Yes. This is the theater when it was really old.
It doesn't even have the marquee out front, right?
You know,
So what exactly is everybody experiencing?
noises that just can't be explained. Laughter, voice mimicry, things being moved. Several people have been touched. A couple people have actually seen shadow figures.
Okay. How many people do you have on set?
15, and a lot of those are my family. Actually, picture. My son Damon, he's 22. My daughter Allie is 23, and my dad, he just turned 64. I'm worried about my dad.
Why?
I feel like it's really narrowing in on him. It's definitely created a lot of anxiety and tension. I'm afraid for what's next. I want my staff and my family to feel that they're safe. I want people to know that the theater will always be here. That's creepy. There's a lot of people here.
Any idea how many?
I feel like I met the whole town. A lot of the dead people here go in your body. If they're jumped by those people, they might change. I think people could get really depressed, suddenly violently ill. Oh my God.
What?
I just don't think it's going to get down there because, like, all the people. I don't know.
So why'd you bring it down?
I feel just a sense of unease, anxiety, like I'm being watched. Nobody wants to come down here, to be honest.
So it's that bad now?
Yes.
Anything else happening to you down here?
I hear a lot of noises. It sounds like somebody's like banging around on things.
You know.
Here with the furnace shutting off or on. It's almost like it wants to get my attention.
Are you sure these noises aren't coming from a staff member?
Whenever I heard these noises, I knew I was alone in the building.
What do you think is here?
That's what I'm really hoping to find out with your help.
I don't think the living would have good experience with down here. There's a lot of death here. A lot of hustle and bustle. A lot of bad people in and out. I feel like my head gets beat. I feel like it impacts my head. the people here. I don't know why they're here. They're yelling and screaming. They're sick. So much oppression.
So anyway, I was talking to Kim, and she told me you're one of the oldest employees here.
Yes, that's correct.
How long have you been working?
18 years.
Okay. Have you had experience at all in those 18 years?
Yes, I've had several. The most recent one is I was pinched. I was downstairs in the concession stand, and I felt a pinch on my arm. And I looked down, and I had 2 red marks on my arm.
Did you feel like it was fingers or something?
It felt like a person pinching, yes.
Wow. Anything else going on?
We were starting up a movie up here, and on the screen there was like the silhouette of a man. I could tell that he was tall and thin, and he had like broad shoulders.
Okay, so there's somebody behind the curtain?
No, I don't even think you can get behind the screen.
Okay.
The only way would be to stand in front of the window.
Okay.
Up there.
So was anybody in the room with you?
No, I was there by myself.
Was there something wrong with the film?
No, we played a later showing of it, and when I turned it on for the next showing, it was fine.
Wow.
This is seriously the worst place to be. Living people up here would see a lot. Shadow people. You can see them in the seats. Something all over the place. It's like chaotic up here. That is,
So full of somebody at Kinley, and she's really worried about it. She thinks that whatever's here is actually targeting you, picking on you. You agree with that?
I'm beginning to.
You are.
It's the activity is getting a little more personal. I feel like I'm sharing this building with a being that's not you. I'm not sure that I'm the one that brought this here, or there's just something about me that makes me vulnerable to these things.
Why? Have you had experiences before the theater here?
Yes.
You have. Where was that?
This was at a house in Kansas City. From the time I was 16 until I was 23, the house was very active. What scares me the most is that they may have returned. I may have brought them from Kansas City, and they're just showing up now. But I'm afraid that my daughter or her staff may end up experiencing some of the things that I have, and I can't. That's something I couldn't even apologize for.
So tell me about a few things that happened.
I heard a young girl laughing. I looked up and down and around. I thought, if I can find the source or the direction coming from, then I can investigate that area. But it didn't work.
Is anybody here?
I'm the only one here.
Anything else?
I was toward the back of the theater and heard a extremely loud boom. And I describe it as somebody dropping a bowling ball on a wood floor from 25 or 30 feet.
That loud.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think.
Now, is it possible that it was a loop from a movie that was playing here?
No movies were showing. Projectors were shut down. I was the only one here.
there's like this woman who's there. She's all dressed in black. This woman is dressed in black. I've never experienced anything like this. Every time I turn around, I see another dead person, and just about all of them are angry. She's like in here. She really doesn't care for many of the people here. They bother her often, and then she gets angry and she does throw fits. on when she drew a stick. Like pots and pans banging and stuff, you know what I mean? She's got a lot of issues.
You said things are getting more personal? What do you mean by that?
About a year after I started working here, I was doing some work behind the screen in the hallway, and I felt a fairly firm grip on my left shoulder.
Now, Paul, I really want to see where you got grabbed. Can you show me?
Yes. I was installing this plywood on the back of that framework of that structure,
Okay, so you were facing this way.
facing toward the screen. Right after that, I felt a firm grip on my left shoulder, but I immediately turned around. I knew no one could fit behind me.
Now, there's a lot of stuff back here. You sure something didn't fall on you?
It wasn't something that fell and bounced. It was a firm grip that as soon as I turned around, they released it.
Oh, Paul, I can see why your daughter's so worried about you.
It feels like I'm being punched. Her heart is pounding. The male, he's dead. It doesn't feel good being dead. It feels terrible.
Any kind of interaction with it?
He goes in their body. That's how he communicates. I think that people would feel very drained by him. They would feel almost frozen physically, like they couldn't move or walk. They wouldn't be able to breathe well. I think that they might even feel like they're having a heart attack.
Now, this doesn't happen very often, but the very first call I made paid off. I reached out to the local county sheriff, and he tells me one of the very first managers of Kinley's Theater was involved in a bizarre homicide. He says the story involved betrayal, revenge, and was finally settled for the police. You mentioned on the phone that there was this love triangle that ended up in a homicide, directly associated with the theater I'm investigating.
Yes, sir. Back in 1932, a gentleman by the name of Frank Cello was offered a promotion to manage what was called back then the Fox Theater.
Okay.
So he moved his wife, that's Gladys Cello, and his infant daughter, the Marshall.
So what happened? What wrong?
A few months after the Cellos took over, Frank Cello got wind that his wife was having an affair with a gentleman by the name of Estel Turner.
Okay.
And this was so worked over here at the local shoe factory back in those days.
This guy looks kind of spunk, too.
He does. Frank finds out, and then he approaches Estel Turner. Frank Cello offers him this sort of a deal. He said, "Well, if you're not going to leave her alone," he said, "I'll just back out the picture. Give Gladys to you on one condition, and that condition is you're going to have to marry her." He thinks about it a couple minutes and says, "You know, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to carry the weight of breaking up your family. I'll just leave her alone."
So, Sheriff, I know this doesn't have a happy ending, this story.
It does not have a happy ending.
Okay, so what happens next?
About maybe a month later, Frank Celloid takes his wife Gladys to a dance over at the Old Elks Lodge, which at that time was right across the street from the theater that he was managing. Estel Turner shows up.
Okay.
And sometime during the dance, Estel Turner comes over and approaches Gladys and asks her for a dance and starts talking to her.
There's a lot of balls on this guy, right?
Yes, Frank Cello approached Estel Turner and yells, "If you don't leave my wife alone, I'm going to kill you."
I would have killed this guy a long time ago.
You and I both.
What happens?
Frank leaves the theater alone. Estel approaches Frank Cello and they get into another argument. Frank Cello is angry enough that he pulls a .380 semi-automatic pistol from his pocket and fires a round into Estel Turner's chest.
So he winds up shooting this guy right in front of the theater.
Exactly right. About 10 minutes later, Estel Turner dies. I have a copy of the death certificate.
Gunshot wound in the hands of Frank J. Cello. The cops holler him that night. They arrest him that night.
They arrest him that night. He is charged with first-degree murder.
he actually is arraigned in this courtroom the next day, right here. This is pretty much where he stood after the jury deliberates about 7 hours. They come back and they found him not guilty. Okay. I actually have a news article here, big headlines. It was a big deal back in 1933. What was his defense? Back in those days, there was this kind of this unwritten law to where if something or somebody threatened your family, you have a right to defend your family.
This guy who jumped people, someone hated him a lot. They hated him. And he finally got him. The pain I'm feeling is in my upper chest. It goes out my back. I want to say he got shot. And then I'm hearing him screaming and falling. Sing this? And I think he's really shocked. And he can't move on from this. Because it's like a pride thing.
So far, I've got a theater being terrorized by unexplained activity and a murder that took place right outside its front door. But I still need to see if there's anything else. Searching for full records, I've had another deadly shooting involving a guy named James B. Turns out he managed a hotel that used to operate right across the street from my client's property. So I called on the Marshall police chief, who says he's going to look into this case for me. So, Mike, thanks for meeting me helping out with my case. Now, you know the theater I'm talking about? Yes, I do. I worked there for 6 years. You worked there? Yes. Anything strange happened to you that you can explain? Oh, it was always kind of eerie, especially like you're the last person there close enough. You didn't want to hear about too much. Okay. So, Mike, the articles I'd seen, it looked like Ming killed somebody that worked for him. Is that right? What I found out was Ming took over management of the Ming House Hotel in 1872. Okay. It was about 100 feet from the theater, but it's not in existence anymore. Now, is Ming a Chinese guy or a white guy? He's a white guy, late 50s. On December 22nd of 1898, Ming asked for his porter, Emmett Craddock, to come to his room. Craddock is a 27-year-old black male, okay, and working for him, but he's not there. He's out running there to the hotel. Well, by the time he gets back, Ming's outraged. He's screaming racial slurs at him, telling him to leave the hotel. So he's firing him, basically. Yes. Craddock says, if you give me my day's wage, I'll leave, but I'm not leaving until I get paid. And it gets heated, and Ming's upset that he has a porter that's talking to him and addressing him in a way that he shouldn't be, since he's the manager of this hotel. Okay. But it escalated, and at that point in time, Ming shot him in the head with a .32 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver. Ming, who was high on opiates at the point in time, was beyond reasoning with. Okay, so Mike, I'm assuming he got charged with this crime. He was charged with the crime, but he was deemed legally insane, so he was never tried for the crime. They sent him to an asylum in Nevada, Missouri, about 150 miles from here. Okay, so now does he spend the rest of his life in this place? Actually, no. After about 3 months of being in the asylum, he escapes about May of 1900. When they caught him, they wanted to pack up and come back with him, so we went back to the room. He pulled out a large revolver and shot himself in the head.
There's Bum now, and he's telling me to off and get out of here and leave him alone, and he just wants to be alone. He doesn't want anybody here. 1910, he was a drinker, big drinker. He's just wasted, you know, he's drunk. He likes stumbling around it, you know? So he's horrible, and everybody hates him, and all this kind of, he gets all the blame. He's the one to blame. Oh, he's just tired of it. Feels very guilty. He's just showing me like dead bodies. He's like, look at the mess I made. Look at the mess I made.
Another thing caught my eye during the research. The unsolved murder of a woman. The last place she's seen alive is right next to the theater I'm investigating. I called on a local author who's written about the homicide. He said he's got information that will definitely help my case. Jason, what do you know about this case?
woman's name was Millie Price. She was 42 years old, and she worked for a shoe manufacturer in town. Her father was sick, so she cared for her father.
Okay, so what are the circumstances of her disappearance? Does anybody know what happened?
On April 10th, 1937, she left work and was walking to a local nightclub to meet a date, a man named Joe Smiley. She was walking in front of the car dealership. She was on the sidewalk. That was the last time she was seen, and it was right next to the property they were investigating.
She was never seen again after that.
No, she just vanished. She'd been missing for 17 days. And this was a really small town in 1937. People just didn't go missing like that. The town was panicking. They really wanted to find her. The entire town searched. The county, all the county officials, city officials were looking for her. There's the article on it. They found her on a sandbank. Her arms and legs were bound with copper wire, and she'd been weighed down with window weights and a steel rod.
Okay, so what was the official cause of death?
This is the certificate of death. It says right here, strangulation and murder.
Okay, what about this Joe Smiley? Cops spoke to him?
Well, yeah, he was the only suspect that they had, and then they dismissed him really early because he had an alibi.
So did the investigators ever come up with any work plans?
Sadly, no. I mean, 77 years later, we still don't know who killed her.
That's a shame.
The lady in black, she's like crying now. Oh, she's a mess. She's crying. The lady in black who throws things is having a breakdown. She's frantically telling me what happened to her. She's talking about a male named Joe. I don't know their relationship, but this is weird. I think she was in love with him or loved him. She'd like said it's very complicated. There's a lot of an old woman, but I don't think that she really is. She's saying that old is like 40. She went missing. Something happened, like, I don't know, she was married or engaged, something with this engagement or something. She was running, she was outside, it was cold, and she went. She feels trapped. Oh, the neck, how it hurts a lot. She was very sad, and something about falling down. She falls down. I saw dozens of dead people during my walk, but the dead man who can jump the living had me the most concerned. He's stuck kind of in his death state. He had a very chiseled face. He had a strong jaw. And he was wearing a suit. I want to show like the dead guy kind of entering the person's body.
Is this what you saw?
Yes.
Now that Amy and I have completed our investigations, we're ready to reveal our findings to each other and our clients for the first time. So Amy, I'd like you to meet Kimberly. 4 years ago, this store theater was pretty much going to get torn down. She grew up in this town and wasn't about to let the town's only theater fail, so she bought it. This is Paul's her dad. Paul spends a lot of time getting odd jobs. He's here almost every day. He seems to be the main target of the paranormal activity in this place. Kimberly really wants to keep the doors open, but not if it's going to put her family and employees at risk. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy and see what she can tell us about her work.
It was an interesting watch. I felt like I met anybody who was dead in this town. It was absolutely overwhelming. The major thing that I felt was anxiety and illness, which is associated with a lot of the dead that are here. There's just an overwhelming sense of unease and anxiety. Nobody wants to be here alone. Except you all. So the first person that I met was a female. She was saying that she felt so old. I'm like, well, how old? She's like 40. She also wears this long lace dress, and it was all wet. And then she's talking about like fighting with her family and about a guy. She did say that his name was Joe. I think that she was in love with him. The problems that she has here specifically is she doesn't care for the living very much. She feels like she's not wanted here. The pain I felt with her was a lot of neck pain. It was extremely intense. And she was showing me her throwing a fit. The sound that I think the living room here would be like banging. Really going ballistic.
You're banging in the basement, you were telling me.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it sounds like. Metal hitting metal. Or, it's like a clanging. It's not your typical pipe noise.
I heard two extremely loud noises after working here for about 6 months. One I describe as dropping a 16-pound bowling ball 25 or 30 feet.
Well, I got a pretty good idea what you're talking about. April 10th of 1937, there was a 42-year-old woman by the name of Nellie Price. She was on her way to a date in a local nightclub. The man she was meeting was a guy named Joe Smiley.
Oh, my God.
But she never made her date. She disappeared into thin air. The last place she was seen was a car dealership, which was right next to the dealer. Now, the town went into a panic, and it was like all hands on deck for a search for her. I got an article about her murder. Finally, 17 days later, she's found by a fisherman in the sandbar in the Missouri River.
Oh, my gosh. Right west.
Now, you mentioned something about the neck, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I got her death certificate right here. Cause of death is strangulation.
Wow.
Now, police, they questioned one suspect for this guy, Joe Smiley, that she was supposed to meet that night. But he had an alibi, and that was it. Now, 77 years later, and it's still an unsolved case.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't know that.
I have a picture when she was a little bit younger.
Wow.
So could that be her?
I think so, yeah, definitely.
So where?
I just feel heartbroken for her.
What else did you say?
I saw a lot going on up here, a lot with talking with the dead up here, a lot of bullshit. And one of the things that I saw was shadow people. You know,
Gosh. There was an incident where my staff member was starting the movie, and when she turned on the projector, the screen right here showed a black shadow figure that was really large, almost filling the whole screen.
wow. Then I was in a hallway that leads to the basement. And when I was back there, I saw a dead guy on the floor. And he's very much stuck in his death state. What I was able to get from him was that there was a woman screaming. She fell over, and it had something to do with him. And there was another male who absolutely hated him, had it out for him, like this man felt it almost. And then he said the guy who hated him finally got him. And then what I felt was an impact on the left side in the heart and exiting out the back. I thought that he was shot.
Now, a lot of the stuff she's just talking about reminds me of a deadly love triangle that started and ended here at your theater. Back in 1932, this guy, Frank Cello, moved his wife Gladys and their daughter here to Marshall to manage this theater. This is Frank Cello, and this is his wife, Gladys. Now, about 6 months after they got into town, Gladys started having an affair
Wow.
with a 21-year-old factory worker. His name was Ethel Turner. I got his photo as well. Frank confronted him. He said, listen, you're having an affair with my wife. If you're going to do that, just take her. But the deal is you have to marry her.
Wow.
Bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Ethel says, I don't want to be breaking up anybody's family. I'll just leave her alone. And ends it. So now, Frank thought the whole thing was over. Everything was fine. Then a month later, Frank took Gladys to a dance right across the street from the theater here. Guess who else was at the dance? Ethel. He had the balls to come over to his wife after everything and try to dance with her.
Oh, no.
So Frank got in his face. He says, if you don't leave my wife alone, I'll kill you. Now, Frank was pretty fired up, and he left. But Estel wound up following him, and they wound up getting into another argument right in front of the theater. Witnesses can hear Frank telling Estel that you lied to me about staying away from his wife.
Okay.
Pulls out a gun, puts one right to his chest. Right to his spinal cord. I got his death certificate here. It says gunshot at the hands of Frank Cello.
Wow.
Now, do you think this guy Estel is who you saw?
I mean, there's a lot of correlations there.
Well, it makes you question. You mentioned the hallway behind the screen.
Uh-huh.
So this is where Paul's having a lot of interactions.
I was working in the hall, and I felt a hand on my shoulder, on my left shoulder. I thought it was my daughter, but I turned around, looked up and down the hall. There was nobody.
Wow. That really concerns me. Because he, comes up from behind a lot, and he can jump people. I think that people would feel almost frozen physically, like they couldn't move or walk. They might even feel like they're having a heart attack. Pain I felt was not typical. It was very severe and long-lasting.
I have a condition that I got shortly after we took over the theater. The doctors tell me I should be getting better, but I'm not. I'm not getting better. I'm not feeling better.
The muscle pain, the spinal
Muscles,
pain.
joints, spine.
Yes. I did do a sketch of what I saw.
Wow. Take a look at this.
I did do a sketch of what I saw.
Wow. Take a look at this.
That's scary.
Now, we talk about Paul getting grabbed on the shoulder. Does it sound like it could be this guy?
That would probably be him. Yeah.
I'm convinced it's him.
But he's the ultimate goal. When he does that, he wants people to feel how he feels. Period.
I can tell you something. Paul had experiences earlier on in life, and he felt that he somehow brought them here.
I'm so glad you said that. I felt I had some ability to be a magnet for bad things. So,
So, Kimberly, you saved this theater for the people that live in your town. You had no way of knowing it would also be a meeting place for the dead. All right, what's done is done. All right, we got to look to the future. The question is, can you stay here safely with your family and employees, or is it time to get out and then take a wrecking ball to display? For that answer, I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Amy.
There's a lot going on here. So the goal is to help as many people move on as possible and to clear the building so that you guys can set up a safe space for your family. So the first thing, we have the dead woman, Nellie. I think we all want to help her. And the best way to do that is to have a female medium come in and spend some time with her and allow her to talk. What's very important is to also make the statement from the medium to Nellie that if she wants to bring anybody else with her from here, to do it now. There will be a lot of dead that want to go with her to the next place.
Now, how do they get rid of this guy who jumps me?
So what we want to do is bring in a priest. I want him to come 3 times
3 months to do a blessing for the entire building. The other thing that the priest needs to do is to give him his last rites. And then he'll leave. And where he goes, the shadow people go.
Okay, so you'll kill two birds with one stone.
Yes. There is one more step, and this is something that you're doing to make it peaceful and quiet here. There's a lot of residual here. There's a lot of timelines that are overlapping and stuff. This is just one. So what I want you to do is every month, just take some salt, and in each location, just sprinkle some salt. And while you're doing that, you're saying, only love, light, and peace may enter. All negativity must go. And what that's going to do is just kind of build an energetic wall of purity to keep the dead out.
So when they do all these steps, this place should be pretty good then.
Yes.
You have a look of relief on your face.
I'm very happy that there can be a resolution.
The cavalry. The cavalry is here. Do I even have to ask if you're going to take Amy's advice?
I am definitely taking Amy's advice.
It won't be easy removing the layers of dead inside this location. But with the help of a medium and a priest, the dead will be set free, keeping Kimberly and her employees and customers safe from harm. I'm seeing blood. He doesn't have a face anymore. He killed so many people. She's going to have to grow. If you're around this person enough, you literally become insane. He left a lot of bodies in his wake. He might have killed her.
All I want is my family to be safe.
I'm extremely worried. This guy wants death. This is not a good situation. My name is Amy Allen. It is death here. No one's going to there. I see dead people. They hide in the walls and they watch. I see dead people. He's definitely a serial killer. It may be he's going to torture them. But there's only one way to know if I find them so real. They were all murderers. I rely on my partner.
I'm Steve Bishop, retired New York City homicide detective. So this is the only time you've been this way. And I know every person, every house has secrets.
There's no question in my mind that he was talking about things.
My job is to reveal what you think possessed you.
But Steve and I never speak.
We never communicate during an investigation.
Until the very end.
You're not going to want to see this. What we uncover could save you today.
Oh, hell no. For time to get everyone is in jeopardy.
I'm in El Cajon, California. It's a blue-collar suburb just outside of San Diego. I got a call from a woman named Melissa. Now, she sounded really bad. She told me she was forced to move back into the house that destroyed her childhood. And now she's convinced whatever's there is going after her 2-year-old son. She really needs our help, man, and hopefully we can help her out. Before Amy arrives, I clear the house of any leading information. Photographs, artwork, and religious statues can influence her findings. So it's important that I cover or remove them all. When I'm finished, the location will be ready for tonight's walk.
A man is showing me this like 6 to 7 foot skeleton, half burnt mess. And he's like oozing, dripping stuff, like blood around them. And he goes, "You think this is crazy?" Maybe.
So Melissa, when we spoke on the phone, you sounded pretty upset.
Yeah.
Especially about your youngest son. What's going on?
Charlie says he hears noises and sees things that we can't just see stuff like that.
How long has this been going on with him?
He's lived in this house his whole life, and he started talking to us about it when he was like 3 or 4.
Right, so who else Okay.
Myself, my husband Corey, Charlie, he's 6, and Nathan was 16.
I understand you grew up here.
Yeah, good.
It was pretty big for you as a kid.
Yeah. I always had experiences, and they never stopped until I left. It kills me to think that he's going to have to grow like I did. I don't want, I just don't. I want to have a normal childhood.
Why would you do that?
My grandmother passed away, and my grandfather wasn't doing so well on his own. The only reason why I came back. This is actually a picture of her with a young Nathan.
What did she die of?
She had a routine back surgery that went wrong, and she came home, and 2 days later, she was rushed back to the hospital, and she was dead.
Any other history I should know about?
I had an uncle who passed away here as a child.
As a child?
As a child.
This is your grandfather's son?
Yeah.
Do you think your grandfather would be willing to talk to me?
So he's never really discussed it much before.
Okay.
You can try.
So once I know you guys are going through hell here, but give me an idea or a list of what's happening.
Things move on their own. Yeah, fluctuating mood, horrible nightmares, like physical attacks.
You mentioned mood swings. What do you mean by that?
I can just get super angry or super sad, super depressed. It's just on a dime. I've never been a depressed person. I usually
Take your grandfather with you.
he just won't let go. He's has to die in his house. That's his wishes. I want to respect his wishes. Oh. He helped raise me. He did so much for me. And I want him to live the rest of his life happy.
There's another man, very sad. I think he's suffering from severe depression. You know, all he does is sit in the ball and cry all the time. So he is definitely filling the location with this despair and heaviness. So living here would feel depressed,
Okay, so what's going on in here?
In here, I've seen a full apparition of my grandmother.
So, exactly, did you see your grandmother?
Actually, right where I'm standing. She used to be in the kitchen a lot.
What else is going on?
We hear really loud noises going up and down the stairway. It actually sounds like a herd of buffalo. It's very loud.
You got 2 kids. How do you know it's not that?
Charlie sleeps with us. Nathan sleeps heavy.
Okay, so what else is going on?
Things get thrown, like violently thrown.
Like what, for instance?
The hairbrushes got me thrown completely across the room with force.
Okay, anybody hit by it?
No, but it went about this far away from the person's face.
So far, you guys have been kind of lucky. I mean, what if that caught somebody in the eye?
I figure it's a matter of time.
I mean, with all this stuff going on, you gotta feel like you're going out of your mind.
I feel insane.
I'm seeing another guy. He's crazy. I think he's been in and out of mental institutions. He's usually confused and lost. And he's like running through the walls, throwing a fit. And I think that the living can hear him. He's like right up in their faces. He's over them. He's staring at them. I think they would feel that too, like that kind of like smothering. They wake up and be like, what the? They know somebody's right there. He's very sick. You're around this person enough, and you literally become insane.
Okay, that's the bedroom this made you sleep with your husband.
Yeah.
And Charlie.
And Charlie.
Okay, so what's going on?
Had really bad nightmares.
Okay, now what kind of nightmares are you having?
I feel like I can't get home, like there's something very urgent, and someone keeps preventing me from coming home.
Anybody else having dreams like that?
Charlie says. He's woken up with bruises. I have a picture of when we woke him up.
That's not just a bruise. I mean, what about you? Are you getting anything like this?
Yeah, there were those bruises, scratches, like burning scratches. I have a picture. It's actually puffed up.
I mean, we're out in the middle of the mountains here. Any chance it could be some kind of a rodent that came in and did this to you? Like that?
No.
Okay, what else?
I feel like someone's watching me, but not just watching me, like looming over my face in bed.
You see something?
No, it's just a feeling I get.
Okay, anything else going on?
I was laying in bed, and I felt a hand grab my ankle, and it was a forceful grab. It was so unsettling and so scary. I couldn't believe that was actually happening.
help for you that you need.
Yeah.
I'm seeing blood. Alright, so skeleton dude. The one I saw outside when I first got here is with me. And he's like ready to the wall. I'm so nervous. Why are you here? He said he was asked to be here. But I said, okay, I'm going to assume that someone at some point here around and somehow pulled this dead guy here. He gets physical down here, slapping, pulling, pushing, tugging him by the ankles down the bed. He's like, I'll show you how bad I am. He's like, I have no people.
So, Charlie, let me ask you something. How old?
6.
So this looks like a fun room to hang out in. I mean, do you like it in here?
It's scary for me.
It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
You seen some bad things here?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about some of them?
So I heard a noise in the kitchen.
What kind of sound was it?
It was like a bang sound.
Okay, how many times?
3 bangs.
3 bangs.
From one right here, one in the kitchen, and then one right next to me.
What else are you experiencing?
I'm seeing stuff in my room.
Okay, what are you seeing?
Black figures.
How often do you see that?
I only see it at night.
Alright, so what else you seeing?
I was like just watching TV, and I looked over at a bottle, and when I was looking at it, it moved
Where did this happen?
in my room.
Okay. So, Charlie, I know this place is scary for you, but if we can fix this, would you like to stay here?
I want you to get rid of it so I can sleep in my room again.
Okay. That's what we're here for. We're going to try to do that, okay?
Skeleton man, he's like showing me the person sleeping and he's like covering their mouth, pinching their nose. He does that until they like pass out and then he's like, let's go. So a lot of waking up, crying, being scared, seeing him, screaming.
What do you do when your 6-year-old son comes to you and he's so worried about everything and there's nothing I can do? What I want most for him is to be able to have a normal childhood.
You just told me about her grandfather. Is he that stubborn when he won't leave here?
There's no talking about it here. He'll die in this house.
So what experiences have you had?
These shadow figures all over the house. The one I saw was upstairs had white eyes, and when I noticed it, it was kind of sinking into the floor.
Now, how often do you see these things?
Probably at least twice a week.
Alright, so you see shadow figures. What else?
Everywhere we go in the house, it's a constant feeling of being watched. It's much heavier upstairs.
Is it a people comping or somebody stalking you?
It's more like just a presence right at your back, just looming over you, watching you.
Maybe.
I was actually attacked in the kitchen.
How?
I was standing next to the stove. There was a Tupperware container on top of the fridge, and it flew across the counter and hit me in the side of the head with force.
Were you alone?
No, Nathan was with me.
You sure you didn't do it by accident?
Yeah, he was actually on the opposite side of me.
Would have been a glass jar, God forbid.
Very malicious intent.
With all the activity you guys are experiencing, it's got to be taking a toll on you and Melissa.
Over the past 2 years, it's seen like a total breakdown in her mentally. Sometimes she'll wake me up in the middle of the night and she'll just be sobbing. It just breaks my heart to see her that way, and it's just totally taking a toll on her mental state. And it's really hard to see her go through that.
So, Corey, when I was talking to your wife, she mentioned that the house, she feels, is changing people's personalities.
I definitely would agree with her on that. We go through bouts of anger, bouts of depression, and we'll kind of start bickering amongst each other as a family.
When the act comes on, does it come on real fast or is it dope?
You just go from 0 to pissed in 0.2 seconds out of nowhere.
Okay.
Skeleton guy, I think that he can jump someone here, and I think it's a male. So when he is that way, he is possessed. There's like a change, literally a physical. There's some kind of physical change when he's inside of this person. The skeleton back of sin. Like literally walk into the guy's body and take that energy and utilize that anger. Who wants to get the dude possessed to kill other people?
Melissa told me her uncle died in the house when he was just 4 years old. She also told me her grandfather never talked about it. So I was also... Gene, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. I know this is a fun subject. But what can you tell me about your little boy, Jerry? He loved playing with the kids in the neighborhood. He loved baseball games with his brothers. Just a normal 4-year-old boy. Oh my God, you're such a cute kid. Yeah, he was a cute kid. So, Gene, that day, what exactly happened? On a hot day back in August of 67, went off to work. Jerry and a neighborhood friend of his were looking for a place to play, and I had my old refrigerator in the garage. And when the boys got in it, I had something to cool off or hide. They had night or automatically caught and closed the door. It was an accident. Okay, so they ran out of oxygen. Yeah, something. How'd you and your wife handle this? As you can imagine, she was very well torn up. Gene, how old are you now? I'm 85. This still sticks with you today. Oh, yeah. That and my wife's death also. So, Gene, how do you feel as far as your wife and his son? You think they hit? I don't know about the son, but my wife, she's been looking after me, keeping me on the straight and narrow. He said she was on. But in a good way. In a good way, yeah.
I see a woman. She's in her late 40s, early 50s. I see she has long brown hair. It's kind of clipped up. She's wearing big glasses. I think she's white, and she is crying. She was here at some point, very stressed out and hysterical. I don't know what happened. She's depressed, thoughts of suicide, and stress. She's screaming, crying, pleading, no, 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 not my baby.
So far, I've got a family being tormented by paranormal activity on a property with 2 young children subdivided. But I want to see if there's anything else. Searching for old records, I come across a serial killer named Clyde Paul Wilkerson. Turns out he terrorized the El Cajon area for years. So I reached out to a crime writer who was on her way over to meet me. She says to this day no one knows exactly how many people this guy killed. Thanks for meeting with me. I appreciate that. So let's start from the beginning. What do we know about this Wilkerson guy?
Clyde Carl Wilkerson was born in Northern California, and from day one he was trouble. He was almost a blueprint for becoming a serial killer. At age 6, he committed arson, was arrested for it, and he was in and out of mental institutions most of his childhood. I'm seeing a crazy guy again. I'm in his body, and I'm looking down a hospital corridor. No, it's not a hospital. It's like a psych ward. I'm seeing only a few other patients, and I would say this is the 1940s or 50s. He's strapped on a weird table. The table looks like those tables that they do lethal injections on. I know that he was at least in some kind of institution on 2 occasions for his mental state.
So Kathy, what's the body count of this guy?
Well, he was convicted of 3, but he was suspected of many more.
Okay, so we know he did 3. What about the first?
On June 6, 1965, just 3 miles from your client's home, Cheryl Burnett got home at 3 a.m. in the morning from bowling with friends. She was 19 years old. Her toddler was sleeping in the bedroom, and Wilkerson broke into a window and ended up raping her and then strangling her with a drapery cord.
All right, did he get arrested then for that murder?
Not then for that murder, but he was always in trouble with the law.
Okay, what about the second one?
This one was just a mile from your client's home. About 2 or 3 weeks later, couple were getting ready for bed, and Wilkerson goes into the apartment building and starts beating on the couple with a crescent wrench. He beat him so badly that he killed the husband.
Does he kill the wife as well?
He raped the wife and left her for dead, and she survived.
Okay, was she able to identify him?
She was unable to.
Okay, so now we got 2 murders a couple weeks apart. When's the third one happen?
Third one doesn't happen until 1975.
Okay, so it's 1975. What happened?
Wilkerson ends up going to Tulsa, Oklahoma, breaks into an apartment and rapes and murders a 28-year-old college student, Josie Martin.
Right, so we got 3 homicides in a week. How'd they catch him?
3 letters, DNA, the alcohol police department. They grabbed him in 2002.
I can only imagine there's got to be a lot more.
Oh, I think he left a lot of bodies in his wake.
Okay, so